It must be time to trim the hedges. At least Milwaukee thinks so. Milwaukee just released actually four brand new hedge trimmers. Let's take a look. Now this is the model number 3034, and it's their 30-inch hedge trimmer. Now they also have the model 3033, which is basically the same unit, but only a 24-inch hedge trimming unit, or head unit, if you will. As far as the body, the motor, the handle, everything else is going to be identical, just the shorter cutting capacity. Now, talking about cutting capacity or cutting gap, this is a 1 1/4 inch cutting capacity on this. I wouldn't recommend you cutting 1 1/4 inch wood all the time, but what will fit in there? Well, that'd be 1 1/4 inches, but it will routinely cut, you know, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch stuff very quickly. We actually used this recently, cutting some big overgrowth stuff and cutting some hedges down, and it worked out tremendously and cutting very quickly. Now, strokes per minute on this is 3,200. Having that Milwaukee M18 fuel designation, we know it's powered by a brushless motor, and it has the intelligence to speak to the battery to speak to the tool, and the battery to speak to the charger. Also, we have an articulating handle here, that actually a rotating handle that rotates up to 180 degrees. So here you have it in the standard format, if you will. This little trigger right here, and you can do this with the right or the left hand. Just pull this back, and now every 45 degrees, I can lock that out. So there it is at 90 degrees. Again, you can see I can grab this side with my thumb, or if I was left-handed with my index finger, and again, go to 45, go back to 0 or 90 or whatever you want to call that, and then the other 45 and the other 90 as well. So full 180 degrees of rotation on that handle, making it much easier when you are facing off those hedges, that you can hold it and still have your trigger hand straight up and hold this hand, and your secondary or auxiliary trigger handle right here. It also goes all the way around this handle, so you can grab this in any format. One of the things I did like about this is the fact we definitely have a safety mechanism here. So this is going to ensure, sorry about the wind if you're getting some wind noise, very windy out here. So this is going to allow you to unlock the trigger. We can't pull the trigger here. Push this down, we can pull the trigger, but you see we're still getting no strokes on the blade. I can pull my secondary or auxiliary safety switch here, and now we can go. Now, if I let off of my trigger finger, I've still got my hand on the auxiliary or secondary trigger. It's not going to go unless I push down the safety again. However, if I let go with this hand, keep my hand on the trigger here, and then I go to grab this again, it will start going again. So be cognizant of that. I like that. Being a pro-level tool, I definitely want that capability to be able to start again without having to depress that trigger lock, as long as I don't release that trigger. Again, you see that full 1 1/4 inch of stroke, and again, 3,200 strokes per minute. We get a guard here right on the front, and we also get a leaf sweep. Now this leaf sweep is pretty self-explanatory, but let me pull the battery on this so nobody freaks out. And now what we're going to do with this is we are going to take this and we're going to slide it onto our tool here. And by the way, you see it's got this whole kind of tongue and groove section here. This is going to go on the outer section, slide onto that, slide it all the way up to this guard here, and that's going to enable us to now sweep those leaves off the top of that hedge in that single stroke pattern, or dual if you want to. And it's going to, rather than that blade sliding under all those cuttings, it will help you sweep those off. And actually, this works very well. These leaf sweeps, when they came out a few years ago, were really a smart thing to do. Also, you'll notice that when it slides here, it's got a little channel to go into that's going to kind of lock that in and give it some more rigidity. So again, you can opt to run that or not to run that leaf sweep. Now, true measuring here. Again, we've got our battery out. So we're 30 inches right to the tip. So we are getting a true 30-inch design here. Now that last inch, no, it's not cutting. It's just kind of a tip there, but pretty much cutting teeth the full length of that 30-inch blade. And if you'll notice, both blades are actually rotating or moving. They're both doing the scissoring action. One's not stationary while the other is moving. And by the way, we do not get a variable speed trigger. It's all on or all off. But you'll also see we reach that 3,200 strokes per minute within like a second. 1,001, yeah. We're getting full speed in less than a second. Also comes with a nice guard. Slide that on, lock it on, and now we can stow that away. We get a keyhole right here. If we want to hang that on a hook or a screw, you can do so. There's not one on the actual blade, so basically that's your option for hanging the tool. Now this is the 3012-20 or 3012-20, and this is their pole articulating hedge trimmer. And there's two of these. This is the shorter version. We'll take a look at the longer one here in one moment. And you may look at this and say, well, Milwaukee's had this before. Yes, they had it in their quick lock system where this actually attached to the different power head. This is the standalone unit that actually has the power head built on, shaft built on, so there's no separation point. It's only an articulating pole hedge trimmer. Same mechanism out here on the end, which I think I said at the time looked kind of like a fighter jet. I still stick to that. Very well-built articulating head. We'll show that here in one moment. Different than the regular hedge trimmer, the safety mechanism is not a thumb switch. You can see it's kind of a what we would call like a dead man switch, if you will. So this is going to fold down and then press down. You're going to hold this down with your hand and then pull this trigger here and operate the hedge trimmer. Also, you'll notice another switch right here. This is not an on-off switch or a power switch, but this also allows the handle to rotate. Again, a little bit different than the other unit, but still just pull this back and it will go 45 degrees. Pull it back again, it'll go 90 degrees. But you see the actual body is not moving. It's just this center handle right here, which is actually a pretty cool feature. And again, if you wanted to face something really big, you could hold it like that, and then we can go back to 0 or to 90, if you will, whatever you want to call that. And then we can go the opposite way as well at 45, and then again at 90. So getting that full 180 degrees of rotation on that handle, locking out at every 45 degrees. So really cool option on this articulating unit. Again, we know because of the M18 fuel designation, we're getting a brushless motor and all the electronics associated with that. We have a handle here. We also have a grip here as well. We also have a hoop right here that we can hook up our safety strap or our shoulder strap to be able to hold that more on our shoulders rather than actually holding it in our hands. So if you're doing, long work, large hedges, things like that, you're carrying this all day. Really nice to have that shoulder strap to take some of that weight off of your hands and arms. Now, on the articulating hedge trimmers, these are actually 3,500 strokes per minute with a 1-inch cut capacity. So where the stationary hedge trimmer, the regular 24 and 30-inch hedge trimmer had a 1¼ inch capacity, this is a little bit smaller at just a 1-inch capacity, but still plenty of power to get the job done. Just a little smaller gap here, as you can see. You'll also notice, I'll pull the trigger here. Again, it's all or nothing, either the 3,500 strokes per minute or nothing. No variable speed there, and really don't need it on something like this, like a hedge trimmer. Now we get a 24-inch cut capacity as far as length goes, so 24 inches, and that'll be on the next one we show as well, but different than the 30-inch that we just had up here of the standard hedge trimmer. Now up here on the business end, if you will, so obviously here's our cutting teeth. This is the handle where we can articulate this, and we just pull this back. We have a large pin that basically it pulls out. You can see it will pull out right there, and then you can see where the pin locks in up here. And we can go all the way 90 degrees there. We can go straight, and we can come all the way around to 90 degrees there, so basically from 90 to 270 degrees or 180 degrees of rotation. And we can also stow it away by coming all the way back towards the unit as well. I won't do that with the battery in it right now. So again, depending on, if we wanted to cut the top of that hedge, we grab this, tuck it this way, and now we can get the top of that hedge. or if we wanted to give us a little bit of a window facing that hedge, we can turn it this way and not have to be straight on with the hedge. So a lot of capabilities, a lot of flexibility with this articulating pole saw. Now let's take a measurement here so we can tell the difference in the two units. Again, this is the 3012, and from the tip of the blade back to the trigger, it's 6 feet. So again, measuring from the trigger all the way to the tip, we're looking at 6 feet of length. Then we can tuck it away, and the full length of the unit period, from the tip to tail, with a battery on it, you're looking at 66 inches. And now we have the 3035, which is the articulating pole hedge trimmer. Pretty much the same as the shorter version we just showed, the 3,500 strokes per minute, the 1-inch cut capacity, articulating head, the same trigger here, the same rotating handle as well. So very easy one hand to be able to rotate that every 45 degrees. We have a hanging spot for the strap. It's just a longer unit. And folded up, will give you overall length is 87 inches versus the 66 inches on the other. And we'll fold this out. And then we'll get a measurement here from the tip to the trigger is 93 inches. So quite a bit longer. You're doing those really monster hedges. Not a bad idea to get the 3035 with that same amount of power, that same amount of articulating head, but just a lot longer reach. Now, as we mentioned, and as you can see here in the footage, we used this recently on a pretty large hedge to cut it down, to cut, a couple of feet off the top of some of those sprouts that were coming out. There were some of them probably about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So not small stuff whatsoever, not just cutting leaves or new growth, but some stuff that had been growing quite a while through the Florida summer and in through the winter as well, now into the spring. But all of these work very well. Well, actually 2 of them. We did not use the long one, but again, you're looking at the same performance. Now, pricing on these, you're looking at, for the 24-inch, $279. For the 30-inch will be $329. And then for the shorter articulating pole hedge trimmer, you're looking at $499. And then for the largest, that's going to run you $529, all of them with a 3-year warranty. Hey, we'll have links in the description if you're interested. They're all available now. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And by all means, if you hated our video, let us know in the comments why. Have a great day and keep smiling.